Hey everybody. You know, I just realized in these bath time confessionals that I've been doing, I'm wearing a toilet hat. Look at that. I look like I'm in the chorus line of some weird off-Broadway musical. Toilet hat. Yay. Jazz hand. Anyway, never mind. Oh God, I'm giddy. I'm giddy today for a lot of reasons. I've been working on my map, showing all y'all's locations of where I may be staying and seeing people. And that's real exciting. Got up early this morning, and ranch hand Mike and I worked in our what's going to be my new bedroom. Mike pulled all the junk that's been there in there out, and I'm vacuuming up the flies and the cobwebs. And the guy's going to come tomorrow and lay down the floor, so we'll be able to move our bedroom, you know, within a few days anyway. And that's super exciting because once that moves, then I've got an entire room open to set up Grant's office. And once I set up his office, that means I get my pantry back. That I'm going to, you know, put shelves and a kind of a work table in there and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like I've said before, it's like having a clogged toilet. And once you blast the clog, then, you know, the whole family can go in and take a poo and everybody will feel so much better. So anyway, my face looks a little weird. It's because I'm wearing a mask. I've also got it on the backs of my arms and hands. I'm going to sit up so I can grab the thing and show you. It's this honey lavender face wash by the Lavender Lady. Now, there's like nothing in this thing except for honey and some herbs like orange blossom, essential oils, orange blossom, lavender, peppermint, geranium, and some others. Nothing, no like preservatives or anything. You don't really need preservatives in something that's basically sugar. Anyhow, I got this when Grant and I were in Oregon last year, and we bought it from the gal who actually owns the company. She had a stand set up at a farmer's market in Bandon, and you know, her lavender farm is for sale. It's been for sale, you know, probably close to a year now. It's not time for me to move. I wouldn't want to buy a lavender farm, especially any kind of farm, until we know what's up with water, because Oregon's having as much trouble as we are. And Washington's having trouble as well. So, you know. Oh, there's a spider that's been hanging in front of me. Go on. Get out of here, little guy. Okay. I didn't kill him. I just pushed him off into the ether. Anyway, so I did not. There he is. Go, little guy. Okay. Anyway, so, but I used to dream about having a lavender farm, and actually having one here where I live. And I've put in lavender bushes and lost them twice now. I lost all of my lavender that I've had for 3 years. It's all gone. It all died. Just too dry, just unable to keep up with it. And not here to water it either. So, but anyway, that was sad. So that's what I've got on my face, and I love it. I like to, you know how sugary things, honey does this a lot. It will crystallize and make these little chunks. Well, the honey in this is crystallized, and that sounds like a bad thing, but it really isn't, because when you squeeze it out, it becomes like a face scrub. And so I'll scrub my face, you know, with this stuff, and then I'll just leave it on. And so that's what I'm doing as I talk to you right now. See, I'm giddy. I'm having a hard time stringing the words together again. Too many things to say. So I worked on the map. We cleaned the room. And now I'm in my bath. And I wanted to talk about something maybe a little touchy. Maybe, but I don't think really, because I know the people that I'm worried about offending so well that I don't think they'll be offended. Because this isn't meant to be offensive. So anyway, here we go. And it's regarding, actually it is a sort of a VR, sort of a VR to you, Brenda, and the video you did about cyberbullying. Yeah, huge problem. It's a big problem. And it's especially a big problem where children are concerned when they're victimized by others, whether they're kids or teenagers or some crazy, pedophile in his mom's basement somewhere. I mean, no matter who it is, once kids are targeted, then it becomes actionable, in my opinion, because children cannot take care of themselves. It is up to adults to make sure children stay safe. That makes children a special class of person that, about which a special classes of rules should apply. So, like the whole underage sex thing, underage drinking, you can't, drive until you're a certain age, you can't vote until you're a certain age, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff's designed for children, specifically to keep them safe. Okay, so, having said that, while I agree that cyberbullying is a really awful thing, trolls, haters, bullies, it's all bad news, I really struggle with the idea of allowing YouTube or the government or, states or municipalities or anyone really to censor anyone who is speaking either in the real world or online, even if what they have to say is bad. Now, there is a kind of a caveat to that, and that is this: if what they are saying is legally actionable, for example, making a death threat, that's legally actionable. That should not be allowed at all. When that sort of thing happens, we have stuff set up in place in most municipalities to report it, and whether or not you can find the person, sort of a separate issue, but it goes on record, so if he's ever or she's ever found, it follows them. And I absolutely agree with that. I mean, obviously, I've been thinking about this from the perspective of the First Amendment, obviously. And while I believe that being able to stand up and say what you want to say, even if other people don't agree with it, even if it's nasty, being able to say that is important for a lot of reasons, and I've talked about this before. But I think it's a basic tenet that we need to preserve in American culture, anyway. I'm sure around the world, the idea of what you can and can't say differs. I'm just talking about my world of the United States, in the United States. So, but how do you reconcile haters, trolls, bullies with their right to be haters, trolls, and bullies unless they've said something legally actionable? How do you reconcile that? And this is what I think. First of all, where children are concerned, as far as I'm concerned, you can just tie that internet up. I mean, put tape across its mouth and shackle it and throw it in a corner and make it shut up where children are concerned, because it's our duty to protect kids. So having said that, yeah, there should be stuff in place to do that. Now, once you become an adult, you can still be hurt and all of those things, but you're an adult and you're in a new class of person. So how do adults deal with this really demoralizing, frightening, upsetting phenomenon of cyberbullying, trolls, and haters? And I think YouTube, this is where YouTube getting a little more involved in that part of its world would be really helpful. When people first come onto YouTube, so many of us don't know what this whole cyberbullying, trolls, and haters thing is about until it's focused on us. And oh my God, it's such a huge jolt when the first person comes along and tells you you know, you're fat and ugly and you should just die, which isn't the same as you're fat and ugly and I'm going to kill you. That's a threat. The other one is an opinion. So it's not the same thing. However, to have, you know, when that first happens, it really freaks you out. But I think if YouTube sort of took charge of that part of their world and said, listen, and this to newbies and also to kind of reinforce to the rest of us every once in a while, hey, you know what? This kind of thing's going to happen. People have the right to say that. They've got the right. You've got the right to ignore, delete, and block them. You also have the right to gang up on them as a group and basically, you know, batter them back down. You have you have the right to respond to the other person's words. And in my opinion, that therein lies the crux and the most important aspect of freedom of speech. Because if people are afraid to say what they think, then they're going to say it behind closed doors and behave accordingly in undercover, if you know what I mean. However, if you say, okay, say whatever you want to say, people, and, you know, they come out and say, I don't know, the N-word, or they bully somebody online, then they've revealed themselves to the rest of the society. And other people in the society can basically shun them, belittle them, ridicule them, not do business at their stores, blah, blah, blah. And what you have then is self-rule of the people. And I think that the people of this country need to be able to sanction one another's civil behaviors so that everyone kind of knows what's expected. And this, of course, changes from place to place. But essentially, we, in any community, we want to maintain a certain amount of peace and order. I mean, most of us want to maintain that. And so we stand up and say, you can say that, but I think you're an idiot for doing it. And so does my neighbor over here, and so did this guy, and so does this other guy. And so every time we hear you say this thing, we're going to jump your shit because you're stupid. We have the right to do that. And that's how the citizenry pushes back against bullies. So if YouTube would say, have a whole deal on it. I mean, like when somebody first starts a channel, they get a message from YouTube. Hi, how you doing? Glad to have you. Please read this information or watch this video about trolls, haters, and bullies so that you're prepared. And, you know, simply the truth is it's going to happen. It happens to everybody. It happens probably more to big YouTubers than it does to the rest of us. So it's something that Graveyard Girl and, you know, what's that guy, that gamer dude that, I think he's a gamer, PewDiePie, and you know, everybody who's up there at the top of the YouTube ranks, they all deal with this kind of stuff every day. I mean, if you take a look at any of their videos on any day, you're going to see a lot of thumbs down. And if you start reading comments, you're going to find some really nasty stuff. Part of how they got to where they are is by those 3 magic words: ignore, block, and delete. So, newbie YouTubers need to know this, and we need to reinforce it with one another. If one of our friends is getting, if one of us gets cyberbullied, we need to tell other people in our community, hey, you know what? This channel name has been cyberbullying me. This is what this person said. Heads up, just so you know. I've ignored, deleted, and blocked this man, woman, group, whatever it happens to be. And so should you. So that gives us back the power, if you know what I'm trying to say. So, having said all of that, Brenda, I want you to know that I absolutely agree with you that it is wrong. But I really hesitate to open the Pandora's box of censoring any speech that outside of the criminally actionable speech, censoring any speech online. I think it would be a very, very dangerous thing to do. And also it opens up a huge can of worms about what actually constitutes hate or speech. So if somebody gives us an opinion about something that is critical, whether it's helpfully critical or not, does that constitute cyberbullying? Is that a hater necessarily? So that really concerns me about any sort of censorship. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm. What my thoughts are about what you were talking about. And I don't know. I'd love for you to come back to me and tell me what you think about that, because it's a really volatile subject and a very up subject for so many of us. It also opens up the idea of, what about people who are on YouTube who make videos who are, maybe being medicated for depression or anxiety, or maybe are maybe mentally / emotionally impaired in some way, and are particularly vulnerable to trolls, haters, and bullies. How are those people protected? I mean, we've all read and heard of the stories of people committing suicide because they've been bullied or harassed online. I'm going to ignore that telephone because you're more important. I'm not going to answer that phone. I'm going to talk to you. So those people as well, yes, they're adults, but they deserve some sort of protection. And how do you work that in without undermining, well, the first and, in my opinion, most important amendment to the Constitution? So, yeah. So just come back to me on that and tell me what you think. Disagree with me as strongly as you need to. It will not hurt my feelings, but I would really like to know what you think about some of the things I've said today. So peace, love, and light, all y'all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.